Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back to Hearthstone. My name is Rooster and we're playing Aggro Rogue, Pirate Rogue, Backspace Rogue. There's a lot of different names for this kind of deck, but the general idea might be obvious, which is to hit your opponent and then hit them again real hard until they stop moving. Well, that turned out to be a little dramatic, but yeah, that is the general idea of Aggro Rogue. And meanwhile, we have a little bit of efficient removal in the form of backstabs, SI7 agents, eviscerates, although you would prefer aiming those eviscerates at your opponent's face, of course. And some card draw, which we're hoping our opponents do not get to make too much use of. And some weapons, and the Assassin's Blades in particular are quite effective if you can get a deadly poison on them. I think against a priest, well, we might be in for a rough time, first of all. And second of all, I do think we're keeping deadly poison, yeah. We've got a 1-drop. I would have preferred a 2-drop, although we are rather short on those, so we're expecting to either drop 2 1-drops in turn 2, or to just weapon up and prepare to get a weapon in. And let's see what kind of priest we are up against, because, well, first of all, you don't see a lot of priests on ladder, and second of all, ooh, that could be interesting. Well, let's just go with the pirates for now, and then we'll see what our opponent's up to. And second of all, priest isn't particularly effective against a lot of popular ladder decks. So we could go... but we could coin out a SI7 agent. I think I'm in favor of just weaponing up here. And then going for the deadly poison and perhaps the Bloodsill Raider next turn. That'll be fine. Just getting some chip damage in here, and that will do. That thing probably has to die next turn, but that's what the deadly poison's for, so not terribly upset about this situation, although we can't let that survive, I think. So we may just want to go for this. Not making use of the Buccaneer, I guess that's okay. We are getting the Bloodsill Raider out, and we could consider coining for the South Sea Deckhand to get some additional damage in here. I do kind of like keeping this one until the later game, where we can combine it with a Cold Blood to get some surprise damage in, because a finisher is also going to be particularly important for us. We can get a nice new weapon here, and that'll probably do for this turn, sure. He's already used one Pyromancer, so I think just replacing our weapon with basically the same weapon is not bad at all. Not putting on as much pressure as we may want, but if he Holy Novas here, then I guess I'm still okay. Still kind of okay with it. Not terribly excited, and that is basically the same result, so... except for the fact that it doesn't heal him for 2, so I guess it's better, in a way. Just piling on the damage... Oh, I would have liked to find some room for loot hoarders in this deck, actually. Come to think of it. I think we just need to get some damage in here. Could go for the extra deadly poison. That means we have 10 damage, we have 12, 14, 18 damage in hand, so we do need some additional top decks, but we might as well just get this in here now, I think. Mostly because we don't have a lot of other things to do this turn, and I would like to actually get some damage dealt. Do we care about the size of our weapon? We might care about the size of our weapon later. For example, if we draw a Dread Corsair or something, we will be attacking face a couple more times, so I don't need to get the deadly poison in there right now. Could run into an Excavated Evil here, I guess, although I think... Well, you wouldn't necessarily use it last turn, because if there's... that's another reason why to preserve the deadly poison. I can't say I was particularly prepared for that. But that's okay still. We can't get rid of that that Harrison Jones. It's just going to cost us too much damage. So let's start by just getting some additional damage, keeping the coin here to enable the eviscerate, and just going face. If any minions survive next turn, we have a very decent chance of finishing our opponent off. So he's got to start flash healing face or doing something similar. Perhaps alchemists. I'm not sure what kind of priest we're up against. More likely a control priest. I haven't seen any dragons, so I guess possibly an Azoth version. Quite likely, actually.
Let me change your mind.
That is a good way of getting rid of our board. That is the disadvantage of the Argent Horse Rider, but I do think getting some damage in. He's so low. He is so low, and there's not a whole lot we can do about it. Yeah, that is unfortunate. Is playing the Argent Squire even going to be worth it here? I don't know. I do know this attack has to go face, because we need to get that damage in. There's a couple of top decks that give us lethal next turn, but not a whole lot, I'm afraid. Argent Squire... I guess if he ignores it, then Cold Blood would give us lethal, so fine. I can't imagine him not killing it here. Oh, and I guess it would give him extra draws with, for example, a Holy Nova.
Just a pinch of vigor.
Oh, why wouldn't you do that last turn? Why would you not do that last turn? That was so risky, sir. That was so risky, and you don't even know it. Such a shame. Okay, I think we're pretty much done here. But that does goes to show that we have a decent chance even against some control decks, but this is pretty much out of reach.
I guess.
That is unfortunate, but yeah, we definitely had some outs. If that Argent Squire was a card that dealt 1 damage, then we would have been there. And that is just the sad truth of playing an aggro deck sometimes. The good thing about this deck is that that it is not very expensive to make. So I can't say the pirates are particularly required even. I was kind of in doubt as to whether or not to actually include those, and you might very well just replace, for example, the Shady Dealers and the Bloodsill Buccaneers. And then I guess the Dread Corsair, but I'm not sure. I kind of like the 1 copy of that Dread Corsair in the deck. Against a Warlock, we do want to keep kind of a curve, and keeping Dread Corsair is a little optimistic. Keeping Coldblight Oracle, I kind of like that actually. Zoo Warlock is not very good. Zoo Warlock basically does what we do, except just a little faster. So hoping for a Reno lock here, not holding out. Basically 80% of Warlocks you face are Zoo, so you should definitely mulligan with that in mind. Getting the coin into SI7 agent is rather good, and I guess we'll Argent Squire here. He has no way to immediately get rid of it, which is good, unless he Mortal Coils, and that's probably also okay. That would actually be the most unfortunate thing here. It actually would, yeah. So by this point he has no idea what we're doing, so that's probably good. Getting some damage in. Just the Dire Wolf on the board isn't actually all that dangerous, but if we are to get rid of it, then that's probably still good. We don't have a great turn 2 if we don't SI7, so I guess this always happens. And then the next question, do we backstab the direwolf? I guess we do. Keeping the Divine Shield around, I guess, is relevant enough. Next turn we even have some interaction with the Argent Horse Rider, so that's kind of good. Not a very good turn for him, so I guess it's going to be Horse Rider and just getting rid of that for relatively cheap. And we do have to play a little bit of board control here, but getting damage onto the Warlock's face is going to be very important also, because every 2 health does represent an additional card over time, and that is a luxury we don't have ourselves. So question here is going to be, can we afford to get rid of that thing? Can we afford to get rid of that? I don't know. That is kind of bad. Let me think. We could trade both of these in, and then what do we have on the board? We could go for the Cold Light, I guess. In that case, we Cold Light first, just in case we get a backstab, I guess. That's probably okay. In most cases, we actually Cold Light here, unless we want to clear his board. I don't know. It's not the worst idea, clearing his board here. We could. That would mean... I actually kind of like that. I actually kind of like that better.
Here we go.
And in that case, well, it doesn't really matter what I smash into this thing, right? As long as it's not my face, it doesn't really matter. So we're just trading, we're going face with these. And now we do have a board still, and he does not have a Councilman. And that is a result I can live with. This is... depending on what he does, of course. I was going to say this is the last turn we're actually fighting for the board, because it's kind of breaking us up here. And that is way too much effort to control at this point. You should probably have played that Battler first, in case you wanted to tap and play the 1-cost card. Because Mortal Coiling the 2-1 is actually not that irrelevant. That is pretty good, but I would prefer just drawing some cards here, I think. Giving the Warlock cards is bad, I will admit. That is pretty bad for us. We can actually control his board. Is that going to be... that is actually going to be pretty good. This is one of the better set targets, I think. So, getting some face damage in here. It's going to affect the amount of cards he's going to draw. Of course, he did just get a few cards from our Cold Light here. But we are dealing a non-negligible amount of face damage. And that's going to cost him in the long run, especially since he should have basically no way of getting rid of our board here. Which will translate into 7 more damage next turn, and 1 more damage from the weapon afterwards, plus the Leroy. Already sets him down to 4. With a reasonable chance that any of our minions survive, especially if we play the Taunt next turn. I think our chances are actually pretty decent here. And that play does not indicate a lot of ways of getting rid of our board at this point. So that means it's likely that he... especially if we play the Dread Corsair here, I guess. I kinda like that. I also like getting the Bloodsail Raider in, don't get me wrong, but...
I fight.
I think... well, it's basically the same. The Bloodsail Raider is another 3-power minion. It doesn't really matter which one I play. So he could have Soulfire, I guess, which he would use on either of those. He can get rid of 1 minion, perhaps another Mortal Coil that can get rid of another. But we're dealing some meaningful damage here. Especially if we... if he does not kill... if he does not kill an additional minion with a Soulfire, or... that's actually good. Alright, if he didn't kill that minion, he was certainly dead next turn. So now we've got 3 damage, we've got 6 from the Leroy. So if he taps, he's dead. I don't expect him to tap because he has more cards than we do, but... So any 2 damage would be lethal there. I think we're just going for the slow roll. I don't think he can kill us next turn. If we think he's going to kill us next turn, then we should probably kill the direwolf. But I don't expect him to. He's got 4, he's got 6, 10, 11 damage, so we would need 14 from hand, which is basically impossible. We can put him down to a point where he wouldn't be able to tap next turn.
Here we go.
But I think that's just going to be a risk we're gonna have to take. Actually, this does not put him on lethal next turn. Maybe I should have. The Leroy would have only given him 1/1/1, and putting him down to the point where he can't tap anymore is actually pretty good. So he basically has to kill our board here. And then he has to survive. Well, he basically has to kill us in 2 turns, also. Or play a big defender, I guess. A defender of Argus would really screw with our plans here. So here's to hoping that won't happen. Also, I'm not sure whether he could have done the positioning on the direwolf any better. I guess it was a little awkward with both of the Imp Gang bosses out at the same time, right? Yeah. Not much he could have done about that. So... If only the Argent Squire survives, we actually have him on lethal, so he has to trade into that. And I think he knows it. And that means he's very unlikely to kill us next turn. Well, that does make a good case for itself. That is actually not terrible, but this is not lethal, surprisingly. Do we need to get some damage in here? Let's see, he's got 6, 8, 10, 15 damage, so Power Overwhelming would be lethal next turn. That's actually kind of unfortunate. But if we attack the Direwolf here and equip the Assassin's Blade, I think we've got him. That's going to mean 2 less damage next turn, unless he's got another Doomguard, I guess. We could just leave the board like this, and then we only die to Power Overwhelming, which he can... Power Overwhelming or... what's the other card? I guess we can just kill him over 2 turns, right? If we leave the board like this, I don't think he can kill us. Unless he top decks Soulfire, exactly. Or taps into it. But if he doesn't know what we're having here, then tapping might be really, really dangerous. So exactly Soulfire. He can play a Peddler to find it. He doesn't have a Power Overwhelming as far as I know. Because the Doomguard discarded 1. And then... Yeah, so that's basically it. Ooh! Yeah, so matches against 2 can get a little tense, I will admit. Can be a little hard to... How did we... Okay, apparently I had a rogue quest. Oh well. So these kinds of creature matchups can get a little tricky because it's a hard choice as to whether you want to clear his board or just start going face at some point. I played against a zoo player earlier and I made the call to just go face instead of clearing his board for 1 more turn, and then he dropped a Sea Giant, and that was a race I wasn't going to win. Another priest. What is it today? Do people not care about our rankings at the final day of the month, I guess? Maybe this priest actually still needs to get up to rank 5. I don't know. Let's get this guy out, because it's going to do more damage in the long run. I can save him for some charge damage, but overall I'm dealing less damage than the Argent Squire would, which is fine with me. We don't have a deadly poison, so I have no particular love for keeping the dagger around. That is another real consideration, because every single point of damage does matter. And getting the 2 extra chip damage in here is actually not irrelevant. Let's see. So, do we put him on Shadow Word Pain? Because in that case, the Dread Corsair is pretty bad. But of course, Shadow Word Pain is bad in most occasions here. I guess I don't mind. I don't mind that much. If it happens, it happens. And we're just going to have to deal with that. Sure.
Here we go.
Not much we can change about that, unfortunately. At least it does leave the board clear, so we can Buccaneer up. Ooh. Yeah, so we kind of want to combine the Buccaneer with the weapon up, but we also want to combine it with the Shady Dealer. And I guess getting the Dealer out here is going to be more important. Actually, the Dealer might be better if we don't play it with the Pirate. That is actually odd. But I think it's correct. Just because this is one of the very few minions in our deck that can actually get Shadow Word Death. I guess the Buccaneers can. Is that going to get sapped? I think that's going to get sapped. Don't mind it at all. Basically gives him an empty turn. He didn't play a taunt, so I guess he doesn't have it. I'm pretty okay with this.
I fight. Here we go.
So I'm putting him on a Shadow Word Death at the very least. No taunts yet, so he's got some expensive stuff in that case. Because he didn't play any Twilight Whelps, he didn't play any what's it again? Any Wormrest agents?
Embrace the void.
Well, he might circle here. That would kind of suck, but just the hero power on the Divine Shield, I guess, and then the circle. Yeah, that could be a thing. Did we overextend here? No, not really. I don't feel too bad about this. I mean, I do kind of feel bad about this, but there's not a whole lot we can do about that. We could actually leave this around, because that means he can't heal. He can't heal himself. And if we're not playing any minions right now, I guess it's not all that relevant. Just getting some additional damage in here. He can kill it himself if he wants to, but for now we do have 9 damage in hand. So if we, I was going to say if we top deck Eviscerate, but that's not going to work. So putting him on a N'Zoth Priest list, that is probably fine. We can just... Can we kill him next turn if I Deadly Poison here? I always Deadly Poison here, right? So let's count. We've got 8 damage in hand for next turn, right? 8 damage for next turn. So that means we need to deal 7 now. Oh my gosh, we're just one damage off again. So do we SI7 his face here, just in case we get some extra damage? Did I not?
The light shall burn you.
Here we go.
Shush, I'm calculating. I can probably take some more damage. I should get some more damage in though. But this does let him trade in the Auctioneer. I kinda don't like that. Let's fish for a little more damage. I don't expect us to die anytime soon. So he's painting his own minion here, and now getting some damage in. Alright, alright. And the flash heal, that is unfortunate. We do have a lot of damage here, but so we might sap this actually. We might actually sap that and and start the damage train again. I don't hate that.
This guy's toast.
Here we go.
Just getting the damage in before the taunts come down, I think. Well, if a taunt comes down, then we're actually kind of screwed regardless. So, maybe some kind of Reno Priest? I don't know. It's actually curious, because he was running Twilight Drake, but also a N'Zoth Dragon Priest, perhaps, a hybrid. It feels kind of greedy to be playing the heal bot in a deck like that. I don't particularly understand. So he's going up to 14 here. We've got 4 damage on the field, so if you top that Cold Blood, we would win. Unfortunately we don't, but not much we can do about that.
Hey, lights out.
So I guess we hit face, I guess we backstab this. We don't really care too much about what happens to the other stuff, right? So backstab this, attack face, redagger. I guess we didn't have to redagger, but he can heal out of Cold Blood range now. That is actually really unfortunate. There were a couple out a bit before, but I don't think... What do we need? We need to draw cards, or we need him to not heal for a turn, I guess. We basically need a Cold Light to have a chance here. Oh, well, Cold Light might do it. Let's see. That's barely not enough. Let's see, we've got... We can't do all of that in one turn. Oh my gosh. That means we have 10, we have 11, and we have the Buccaneer, but we can't translate it into damage.
So many options.
That is so unfortunate. Do we die next turn? We have 13 on the board. We might very well die. I guess we do it this way. We play the Buccaneer. We get the extra damage hit in. And we see if we can deal lethal next turn. If all he does is heal, then we've got him. Right? Yeah. If all he does is heal, then we've got him. So that's going to be how we can win. It's the only way. So he might kill us if he has an Auctioneer plus a Flesh Heal or an Alchemist. I don't expect he does, because he would have certainly healed there, wouldn't he? There's a number of top decks that would have killed him there. If that Buccaneer was an Eviscerate, he would have been dead. If it was another Cold Blood, he would have been dead.
Just a pinch of it.
Oh, so greedy. Why are priests playing so greedy? Ah, it's disgusting. Ah. Well, this was the only way we're going to win that. I don't understand how I lost to both of those priests, really. They've both been playing so greedy, and they could have been dead to a lot of top decks there. So I will say that there was a really fair chance I could have won that game. So I don't blame myself for a whole lot. Although, of course, if we would rewind, we very likely could have found a number of ways to improve on this. So I see deckhand against Mage is not very impressive. Sap I don't want. I guess I don't want Eviscerate, I don't know. I just want some early minions, I guess. And the South Sea does kind of serve that purpose, so I guess it's okay in a way. Assassin's Blade plus Deadly Poison is actually rather good. That does represent 20 damage over 4 turns. So if our opponent does not kill us in time, then we've got a lot of damage coming here. Depending on what kind of mage it is, of course. A tempo mage would have likely had a mana worm on turn 1, or something better than ping to do on turn 2. So I guess that kind of goes in our favor. Do we want to weapon up here, or do we just play... I think we just play a bunch of 1-drops, right? It's only really bad if he has something like Arcane Missiles. I am a little wary of running into Arcane Missiles here. I guess in that case we'll weapon up. We do have a Deadly Poison, we don't want to use it on this weapon, so I guess we attack face. Just take it a little slow here. I don't know what kind of mage we're facing here. So, hence my reluctance to put multiple 1-drops out on the field. Buccaneer's not awful. Allows us to deal with these through the weapon, which is kind of okay. A little unfortunate that the Buccaneer will likely die. Although I guess we could put the South Sea Deckhand out at the same time and just deal with them right away. That's not the worst idea. I don't think we're going to need the coin anytime soon, so that's okay. Let's do it this way. Of course, always be careful when using South Sea Deckhand that you attack with it before using the last charge on your weapon. It's happened before, and it will happen again, but that is a real risk. I'm expecting my opponent to play Freeze Mage here, which I don't know is a good matchup for us. I really don't know. Oh, it could be a Reno Mage still, or just a really slow start for a Tempo Mage. I'm okay either way. I will attack that Gold Sorcerer, I think, though. I'm pretty sure I will. Let's get the Raider out here. I will attack that one. I will attack face with this, because any slowdown for our opponent is going to be in our favor. So attacking this, I could Redagger, but the Redagger likely isn't going to be worth much. Let's get the Argent Squire out there. If our opponent has a Flamewaker turn here, that would be a little unfortunate, I will admit.
Someday I'll be just like you.
Could be a Flamewaker coming, or just a ping. That's kind of slow. 1 mana. 1 mana Frostbolt, of course. Yeah. Okay, but she is burning a number of cards, which could be okay. I don't know. We've got lethal in hand, basically, as long as we don't get frozen too much. I am a little wary of leaving this Sorcerer's Apprentice alive, but that does represent 6 damage off of our weapon that is not going the way of the face. But I guess we'll draw extra damage in time. We will. We will draw extra damage, and the Sorcerer's Apprentice is just too much tempo for the mage. Yeah. If she can get an Arcane Intellect off, for example, and then another couple spells, perhaps, I wouldn't even mind sapping that, actually. It's a really slow card, and we can kill her in a reasonably timely fashion, I think. So unless she gets something like an Ice Block or an Ice Barrier off of this, but I kinda do like the idea of. So I'm always playing that. That is again a lot of damage. We could face check this. Since we have another Assassin's Blade, but that's going to be really slow. I think I'll just sap it. I don't like sapping that, but I also don't like not sapping it, if you catch my drift. So that's a very reasonable amount of damage here. We've got 10 plus another 3 on the field plus another 5 from Leroy. So that's lethal in 2 turns if she doesn't deal with the board here. And I don't know how quickly she thinks she can kill us here. Missiles, it could be reasonable. She does still have her hero power, so I guess that's kind of okay. Expecting to ping that next turn, I guess that can work. Would we consider SI7ing here? We can deal 7 to face and then a little more next turn. Are we afraid of dying next turn? Is the obvious question, I guess. Not that much would be the answer, and we can let her deal with this next turn. That's probably fine. Getting the extra 2 damage in is actually kind of relevant. So let's put some minions out. Let's kill the Thalnos here and go face with everything we have. And that should likely lead to a lethal situation next turn. Unless she manages to deal with everything we've got and we don't top deck 1 damage. I don't like our chances too much, but there's a definite possibility. She can hero power 1, she can trade, and then Frostbolt or something on the other. But then there's still the chance of us getting some. There's a Forbidden Flame from our deck, so I guess we're facing Reno Mage. All right, well that's a thing that can happen, but
Here we go.
we're not using Leroy here, right? No. If she has a Harrison here, that would be kind of hilarious, but I think she still loses. So if she really wants to do that, then that's fine with me. Oh. A Forbidden Flame and a Tempo Mage deck. That has to be a slower-ish Tempo Mage deck, right? Well, regardless. Regardless, we still had it.
Well played.
So that's probably a pretty good matchup, actually. As long as the Tempo Mage doesn't get an insane start with a Mana Worm or anything, but you still have some amount of interaction with the early weapon, with the backstabs, the SI7 agent. So you can probably deal with 1 or 2 Mana Worms or Flame Wakers that are dropped early. And then Tempo Mage still doesn't run any healing, so as long as they don't save the Frostbolts for your face, then you should be in a pretty good spot to finish them up, I think. How do I like the deck so far? Well, apart from the 2 priest matches, which I think were very, very winnable, I think I like the deck actually. Leroy is Leroy required? I think Leroy is very good in this deck, and it would be hard to replace it with something like a Reckless Rocketeer or a Wolf Rider. There are a couple cards I would like to fit into this deck. For example, a bit more card draw. I don't want to sap right now. So a little more card draw in the form of Loot Hoarder, for example.
The pleasure is mine. The light protects me.
Getting an early Cold Blood out on an Argent Squire is actually pretty good, because well, only really Mage has a good way of dealing with that. So that is actually very, very decent. Just getting the weapon here, and since we will be able to deadly poison it up, I'm okay with keeping the weapon here. But you want to be attacking this turn. You want to be attacking with this deck every turn, basically. If you don't have a weapon out, then you should strongly consider using your hero power to actually get some damage on the board. This situation is a little awkward, I will admit. I guess I could Argent Horse Rider that down, but that gets countered by an easy hero power. And the Argent Horse Rider with the Cold Blood is actually not irrelevant, the same way as the Argent Squire works. Could get the shitty dealer out, but neither of those are too impressive with the Mana Worm still on the board. So this feels like a bit of an empty turn, but I think this is what we have to do here. Although I guess we could just drop a 3. Maybe I should have done that. And just attack the Mana Worm over 2 turns and save the Deadly Poison for the Assassin's Blade. That would have made a lot more sense, actually, come to think of it. I kinda like this idea, though. Just getting some damage in there. Just getting some damage in there. the Assassin's Blade still represents 12 damage over 4 turns. Mage will likely have to waste some resources to get rid of this, or get hit by 6 again. And if we can hit the Mage again for 6, then that's basically a 1 game. So, obvious answer would be an Arcane Missiles here, and I'm basically expecting it. Having to use an Arcane Blast is probably good for us. Again, I don't like leaving the Sorcerer's Apprentice out on the field. It just represents too much tempo, and that would probably lead to a loss in short order. So I think we're attacking that again. So we've got 11 damage in hand, so we do need a little help. Maybe I'm being too careful with the Shady Dealer. Maybe I should have just thrown it out in front of the Mana Worm. That could be a way to win, but... I don't like this. If he would just drop something big, then I could have... Oh, he coined that out, didn't he? Okay. I don't think... Well, I guess we could sap this and SI7 this, and then attack face. We do have 4 more damage here. We could actually just do this and let him trade with some minions. I think I like that over the sap. Sap is pretty good, but not on these minions. So getting some damage in here, we'll have to use a spell on one of our minions. I'm giving him a decent chance of having something useful. That's a little unfortunate. I would have preferred the situation in which he played the Sylvanas here, for example, or I guess a Water Elemental, because that would have been a definite sap. But getting 2 minions out with 1 card makes it really bad to sap either one. So, all right, gets the Frostbolt in. And that is dangerous. That is definitely dangerous. We may have to... Well, we could sap... Yeah, you can sap the Flamewaker, but that doesn't feel good either. I guess we can sap the 5-2. And it still wouldn't be awful. We just don't have enough damage to reliably... Well, can we get the Bloodsail Raider through? I don't think we can. There's too much direct damage in that deck, so I don't think investing the Eviscerate in anything but face is going to be a way to win.
Here we go.
So we still sap that one, because it's just... it represents too much of a clock for him. And any situation in which he has to trade the Flamewaker in is probably still fine, because the Bloodsail Buccaneer was only getting 5 damage into face anyway. So if we invest an Eviscerate to keep it around, possibly, then we're trading 4 damage for 5 damage, but I don't give it a big chance of actually surviving. As illustrated. So what we need here is a bit more damage. All we need is just a little more damage, and I don't think we're getting it. We are pretty much dead here. Unless we get a Leroy. If we get a Leroy, we can win. So I guess there's that. Or we live for 2 more turns. I think we have to go face here. Just on the off chance that he doesn't kill us next turn. Even that is not a fat chance, I realize. But I guess it's what we have to do. Do I eviscerate? Well, if I eviscerate something, then I can't win with a Leroy top deck anymore. That's if we Cold Light into Leroy, then we would want to eviscerate face. Am I ever not eviscerating face? I don't think I ever don't eviscerate face. So we might as well just do it now, so we have something to combo it with, and if we draw a Cold Light into Leroy, then we don't have the mana to eviscerate, so we still need to get it done. Yeah, that's going to be the winning play, I think. And on the off chance he doesn't kill this, then just a Cold Blood could do it. We may very well be... we're not dead. We're not dead, so that's something. So we do have one draw here. And that is not the one. So that is unfortunate.
Well played. I give up.
But that's just the thing that happens. This time the Tempo Mage did get a bit of a better start, and I may have been a little cocky in declaring the matchup a good one for us, but I do think there, in basically every game we lost, we did have a very decent chance, I think, so that does speak for the deck, I think. So if you're looking for a rogue deck to try, and you don't want to invest into double preparation and admin Van Cleave and all of the like, do give the deck a try. I think it's better than it looks. And that is it for today, so thank you very much for watching. If you have any suggestions on what deck to play next, please do leave a comment below. I would love to hear your suggestions for, especially for the coming month, because we're starting with a whole new list of 30 decks, so that'll be exciting. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.